May God's peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. My name is Muhammad. New video and a new story. But before starting, don't forget to pray for the Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. Let's begin. The author of the story says, we all know that the only place where God's name is not mentioned in the bathroom. And I will tell you a true story that happened with my uncle. My uncle moved to a new house, but it was bullet in the old style due to his working conditions. It was a courtyard in the middle of the house with rooms arranged around it. My uncle, his wife, who was beautiful, and their young children were all sleeping in one room. The house looked as if there was something strange in it. 2 weeks after the move, my uncle had little daughter who has no more than 5 years old. She always told her mother that there was a man with the feet of an animal coming out of the bathroom and heading to the closed room. But my uncle and his wife thought it was just imagination, and because she was young she couldn't tell the difference. My uncle would return home from work every day after the noon prayer, and he was always in a good mood with his wife, caressing her and courting her. Then after the afternoon prayer, he would return to work again, and 2 hours after the evening prayer, he would return home, and by then he would have finished work. But at night, he would always be there. She has a sharp temper and is quick to anger. One night, a quarrel broke out between my uncle and his wife over something, and the argument between them intensified until his wife shouted at him, saying whoever sees you during the day when you return from work will not see you when you return from work at night. My uncle was shocked as if he had been struck by lightning. He said to her, I have never returned from my daytime work since I worked with them, even if I cheated on it. His wife said to him, how is that possible when you come here every day after the noon prayer and return to work after the afternoon prayer? My uncle and his wife almost went crazy, and the matter was not resolved between them except my uncle's little daughter, who said that you come back during the day, but you come with feet like the feet of animals. Here my uncle's wife swore not to stay in the house of a single second after everything that happened, and my uncle did not return to him until he came to take his furniture from the house. Khalid, you know my analysis of your uncle's story, that the being that his little girl was seeing was a jinn of the evil kind that lived in the bathroom. And when your uncle's wife came and described her as very beautiful, he fell in love with her, so he was taking shape in your uncle's form so that he could get close to her and woo her. Don't forget to pray for the Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. Subscribe to the channel, like the video and share your opinions in the comments. The second story is entitled The Old Witch and the Wrath of the Jinn. My name is Manar. I live in a residential tower consisting of 10 floors. I live with my husband and children on the 4th floor. In fact, this residential tower is different from others because it has an old woman who lives alone on the 2nd floor. In fact, there are many rumors spread about this old woman. Some say she is originally a witch and deals a lot with jinn. I and the residents had no choice but to stay away from her. I warned my children not to approach her apartment. Despite our many attempts to get his woman to leave the residential tower, all our attempts failed. Days, months, and years passed, and we were unable to rid the tower of this woman. So we decided in the end to live with the situation. Everyone was worried of that woman. One day, a very unpleasant odor began to emerge from that woman's apartment. We thought at first that she might be practicing some kind of behavior from the strange ritual. The smell began to increase the point that we could not even approach her apartment due to the strength of this smell. We decided to gather together and break into her apartment to discover the source of that smell. We all stood in front of her apartment door and began knocking on the door forcefully, but no one answered us. Finally decided to storm the apartment, and when we broke down the door, we saw something that froze the blood in our veins. The floor was soaked in blood and the woman's entrails were scattered everywhere. I looked at the ceiling and started screaming. Her head alone was hanging on the ceiling of the hall. We entered to see what else was there, but there was nothing. What we saw was the end of the surprises. We found the rest of her body inside the bathroom, and the worms were eating it. I could not control myself and fainted. I woke up and found myself in my bed, and my neighbors sitting around me. I asked them what had happened, and they told me that I felt dizzy from the horrific sight, and I fainted as they rose by bringing me to my apartment. The police came and did not believe what they saw. In the end, the apartment we closed, and no one ever knew what happened to that old woman. At first, the police suspected that there was one of the residents, or perhaps among the people who frequented this woman. She was a witch, and therefore there were people. They deal with her constantly. In the end, the police were unable to reach anything, especially since the tower in which we live is equipped with surveillance cameras, and there is no proof that anyone tried to break into that old woman's apartment. Several months had passed after this incident, and life was calm. We were relieved that that witch was no longer there, despite the horrific way in which she died. One day that lady came to me in a dream. I saw that lady telling me the reason for my death is that I decided to leave the world of the jinn. But there is one of the jinn who is very strong. His name is Shamrur. He prevented me from doing that and even threatened to kill me. I did not comply with what Shamrur told me, and I completely distanced myself from that world. On that day, Shamrur came to me and killed me. Please avenge me, for I am very angry and I choose you to do this task. I woke up feeling very afraid. I convinced myself that what I saw was just a dream. The next day, while I was returning from work, I saw on that woman's door a phrase written in blood. This phrase said, "If you don't avenge me, I will kill one of your children." I started screaming when a neighbor heard my voice and came to me. I told him what I saw at the door, but when my neighbor looked, there was nothing there. In fact, I did not want to tell my husband what happened, as there is no clear proof that what I saw or what I heard was anything really possible. I was sleeping one time and I woke up to drink some water. I found this woman in front of my room door looking at me and smiling. I started screaming and my husband woke up, and when we looked at her, she had appeared. I asked my husband to leave this apartment. In fact, My husband did not hesitate to agree to this request. We decided to leave our apartment and move to another place. Things became calm for me and I was living a beautiful life. One day I met a neighbor of mine who was with me in that residential tower that I had left. My neighbor told me that one night fires started burning from the old woman's apartment, consuming the tower completely. It turns into a pile of ash. Today's stories are over. I hope they terrified you. Don't forget to pray for the Prophet Muhammad. May God bless him and grant him peace. Subscribe to the channel, like the video and share your opinions in the comments. Peace, mercy and blessings of God.